Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, Bashim Kodesh, double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who are risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers, seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai, and the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as we're the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Yakalia, and I'm from the JMS Jamaica Kingston camp, and this video is about, I said it in my intro, you are what your father is, right? The world that we live in today, which is ruled by the wicked, who are these Edomites, who are these so-called white people, they have cast a covering over the entire world, with great deception in many different kinds of ways. And one of the ways is that they have led the world to believe that you are what you are by sight. And they have also caused confusion within the world to take away the biblical nationalities of the nations, and they have given them all kinds of different names, right? They call them East Indian, they call them Pacific Islander, they call them Chinese, they call them Japanese, they call them Arab, they call them Arabian, they call them Black, Negro, Latino, Native American. They call them all of these worldly names that you know, and then they even have included a whole new race of sorts, which is called the mixed race, so-called, right? And all of this is just lies and deception, okay? The truth of the situation is that you are what your father is, okay? And it doesn't matter what you look like, okay? Now, I will say that nations, all right, do have a look to them, right? When you look at the East Indians, they have a look to them. The Chinese, Japanese, same thing. The Africans, by the way, the Africans are not our people, okay? So that's a whole other nation separate from us, the Israelites. And then you have the nation of Israel that, you know, you can see that there's a certain look among us, and each nation has like a certain look among them. Even though I will say as well that when you look at, I don't know, certain other nations, that certain nations can still look like other nations. You know what I'm saying? So you can see like an Arab, and you'll be like, oh, he looks like Jake, you know, like he looks like Israel. Or you could see an East Indian and be like, oh, wow, he looks like a dark-skinned white man, you know. So that does occur, but that is not how you judge who belongs to what nation. It's not by sight, okay? It is by way of the Spirit, okay? And you are what your father is, okay? So in order for you to be a part of a specific nation, it is passed down through the father. And this is Numbers chapter 1 and verse 14. 1 and 18. Khan. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their fathers by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So when it is that the children of Israel were gathered, if you read from the top, they were identified by way of the seed of their fathers. The mother does not matter. The mother is simply a vessel to contain the child, right? Where the father plants the seed. Okay, the mother is I'm not even gonna say that because some people might get offended, but yeah, you know, the child really only belongs to the father, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people will feel offended because this world ruled by the Edomites pushes a very strong feminine spirit, a very strong what's it called, the Virgin Mary kind of spirit, a very woman is God kind of spirit kind of thing, right? But the woman simply just harbors the child, and the child belongs to the father, and the father makes all of the decisions within the household, and that is how it is set by Yahweh Shemishai. Okay, and so here it is set as well, right? So Now that we know that you are or you belong to whatever nation based on what your father is, then you will know that there's no such thing as mixed race or anything as such. And then you'd also have an understanding of this video right here that I'm about to play. Now, the brother titled it, "This explains how Kamala," referring to the up and coming potential president of the United States of America, which is Mr. Babylon the Great in the scriptures, "can just jump the line with no votes. She's an Amalekite." What's an Amalekite? Amalekite is one of the tribes of Esau, Amalek, and they are the Edomites, right? And Amalek has been identified as a certain those people over there in the land today, the Ish people. That's the tribe of Amalek, right? And so what is going to be shown here is that her ancestry, when they trace it back, goes back to an Amalekite, i.e., a so-called white man, i.e., an Amalekite is an Edomite, okay, which would then mean, okay, that Miss Harris would not be of our people, despite looking like our people. But truth be told, she also be looking like some other nations too, and that's why you can't be doing this on a looks thing, right? You can't be doing this on a looks thing. Because once again, nations be looking like other nations. Okay? But let's take a listen, right?
Where he speaks about the conversions that were happening in the book. Yeah. So as this guy is kind of going through all of this and speaking about how, this book, A Record of the Jews in Jamaica, is the title of it. As he's speaking through all of this, he speaks about why it was that so many Hebrew residents in the St. Anne parish began converting or marrying. And what is of interest regarding Joseph Bravo Harris is the fact that, look at this, the Hebrews resident from the same book in St. Anne parish assembled for divine worship on Yom Kippur at the home of Joseph Harris at Brownstown. I was credibly informed that the room Harris appropriated for the service, which was during his lifetime, was never used for any other purpose. Harris was an English Jew. He came here from New Orleans, Louisiana. Again, another coordinate that just keeps popping up. And then the author writes, "I have not been able to ascertain the provision for worship that was made in any of the other parishes. St. Elizabeth must, however, have had organized worship during the 18th century. It is very pleasing to record that at no time since the Reform movement assumed practical form during the 19th century has religious persecution in the island reached so acute a stage as to at all render it possible for the setting up a Reform congregation, as was the case in some of the neighboring islands, thus to save many on this account from leaving their ancestral religion." So he's just kind of going through all of this, speaking about how some people left the faith, and he says that he's inclined to believe that they did that because they just didn't like the rabbinical Judaism with its unyielding laws and just kind of wanted to marry into other families and become Christian. But that is of interest here. So again, if we can get up that family chart, we're speaking now about Joseph Bravo Harris, and he believes that this is the father of Joseph Alexander Harris. So right in the chart you're seeing, we don't have a picture for him, but...
Okay. So y'all see that chart, right? So the chart, okay, it will show you, y'all know what Miss Harris looks like. Y'all see her father in that picture. Then when you see the father of that father, he looking like, he looked like an Edomite to me. He looked like a so-called white man. And then when you see her great-grandfather, her great-grandfather also looks like a so-called white man. And then the Joseph Alexander Harris and Christiana Miss Chrissy Brown, she obviously, to me, that's an Israelite woman right there. I think from that look, or the look rather, okay, because even she may be of a different nation. I'm just gonna have to take this point blank, just for the purpose of edification, right? So she looked like that, and then he came out looking like that, and then he procreated with her, and then the father came like that, and then Kamala came out looking like how Kamala did, and then Mr.
we don't have a picture for
Joseph Alexander Harris came from Mr. Joseph Bravo Harris. Now, I will add to this. I'm a Jamaican living in Jamaica. I have lived in Jamaica, okay? And Joseph Bravo Harris, the facts come out, okay? The facts they're true, right? There was a very huge Jewish settlement that came to Jamaica at a certain period of time. I can't recall the period of time, right? Which also included my own family, right? I can't say I'm not going to say the last name, but it is a Hebrew, what they call a Jewish last name, right? We are Sephardic Jews. That's how I knew myself in the world, as a Sephardic Jew, right? My father's father is just like this, the same thing. He is a so-called white man with the same kind of name, Joseph, right, with a Hebrew last name. Came down with the settlement, and the Bravos were a part of that, okay? And the Bravos, by the way, of course, if you're wondering, well, if you're saying that your father's father is of this as well, no, okay? Because you may be saying, oh, aren't you an Edomite? No, I'm not an Edomite. I'm an Israelite. I'm out here teaching this truth, and I believe in Yahweh Shemi Shai. And that's why, and then that's when things get a little deeper, okay? But looking at this, right, going back to the Bravo family, it is true, the facts come out because the Bravo family are indeed a family of Jewish white men out here in Jamaica. When I was attending school, high school, I attended school, which was the premier private school out here in Jamaica, which is also a Jewish school. So we would celebrate Jewish holidays, and we would also have Jewish, like, we'd get time off for those Jewish holidays and whatever else. And of course, it's ran by a certain group of Jews who are the Matalons out here in Jamaica. And when you look at the landscape of Jamaica and the people that are a part of the Uptown, and not just the Uptown, but the Uptown Plus, okay? Those people, all the last names I can list out, they come from those settlements, those that came at that time, right? When you look at all of those that have the last names or who are affluent out here in Jamaica, and you look at back who came through, those same last names are still at the top affluent, okay? Some have fallen off because they couldn't maintain the wealth or whatever the situation was, but some maintain the wealth and are still affluent to this day, and the Bravos are a part of that. I mentioned before, my classmate was literally a girl, Miss Bravo. Miss Bravo, her father's white, but her mother's black looking, okay? So she came out as a light skin looking just like Kamala. Now, when I look at Daniela, okay, when I cannot look at her and say which tribe she belongs to or whatever, but or which nation she belongs to, but I believe, having been around her, that she actually is an Israelite, right? That's what I think, based off being around her. But there could be a lot of things that could have transpired from that time up to now. Somebody may have taken the last name Bravo, but her father is in fact of that Jewish white man, Bravo. So now that throws something else into it, because yes, this has come out that Kamala's heritage goes back to this Joseph Bravo Harris, who indeed is a so-called white man of Jewish ancestry or whatever, just to put it out there in a worldly words, okay? But that doesn't necessarily still mean that Kamala is an Edomite. It still doesn't. Okay, it really still doesn't, right? But it also does show proof that there is a very strong chance that she could be of Edom, right? And when it comes to Esau, Edom, the devil that we're dealing with, this is a tactic that he uses frequently. He used it with Obama. Obama is not our people, okay? And now he's using it with potentially Kamala, right? Which the signs are pointing towards her strongly potentially being of Edom, right? And so what does that do? Because the wicked elite of Esau, Edom knows what we're teaching, knows that we're speaking facts, that everything I've said, they will know that I'm speaking the truth. There are no lies here, right? So what is it that he's done? Because they have wisdom of knowing that you are what your father is, that's the nation you belong to. They have the wisdom to know that there are people out there walking around that look like the other nations that are their people. And when it is that you have gone through your life as an Israelite and you have encountered another person that maybe looks like you and you're expecting a certain kind of vibe from them, you're not getting that kind of vibe. You're like, this person don't even seem, and many times I've heard, oh, he don't seem black. You know what I'm saying? Something he be with the white folk and all these kinds of stuff, and he don't seem to like have no love for no black people, but I don't get it. It's because he most likely probably is an Edomite, just covered in a different in a different flesh, right? A different body, right? But the spirit is that of an Edomite. And so we can just trace back to the slavery that we went through and all of those Edomite masters that raped our women, that produced several Edomite children that looked like so-called black people, right? Many of them are about, and so Kamala could be one of them. And so let me get to the the scripture after my explanation. Okay, let's go to Matthew chapter 13 and verse 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. All right, now if you know about tares and wheat, you know that the tares are not good and the wheat are the good. Okay, so the enemy came and sowed bad things among the wheat. And when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So what this is saying is that there are people that look like our nation of Israel, and you'll be like, oh, he a black man, but really, they are agents in disguise. They are heathen agents. There are Edomites walking around looking like Negroes. Okay? And what they do is that they go around and you think that they're for you, but they're really against you. And then Esau knows this and he uses some of them and props them up, just like this Kamala situation, and creates a great deception upon the people. Because she's acting as if she is for us, but she really is an Edomite that just looks like us. But she hates us because she's of Edom and she's of that nation and she is with her people. Right? So that's a very great deception that is pushed upon us as a nation. Okay? So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather you together first the tares, and bind them in the bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So what this is saying is that eventually the separation is going to occur, where the Lord is going to get rid of such individuals and put the separation back, the proper separation, where we know these are our people, the Israelites, and those are people, those are of the heathen. Okay? So yeah. This is what is at hand when the brothers bring out this, and that is the explanation. So with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Shemishah, Bashman, Kodesh, Shalom.